right, South Africa, welcome back to another edition of the TMS Book Club here on ETV. Our guest this morning is no stranger to the morning show. In fact, you may have seen her. She's a poet, she's an author. She's written the book series of Umpumi. But today we are focusing on her brand new book. It's called The Soft Life. We've got Lebohang Masango in the building. We're at the Book Circle Capital, which is the home of our TMS Book Club. Lebo, good morning. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, William. How are you?
I'm really well. Very good to meet you. Listen, I haven't been able to put this book down. It's a page turner, right? And I'm honored that you're here and I get to chat to you as the author. I imagine this started out as a thesis, research, and now it's this book that everyone can put there, they can't put it down. How did we get here?
So we got here because, as you're saying, it was a thesis for my social anthropology master's course. I've always really been interested in young women in South Africa, the things that we do, the way we influence culture, but particularly with a focus on romance and romantic relationships. I think that it is an important area of study because all of us love, all of us are engaged intimately with each other in one way or another,
Sure.
And I really wanted to explore that further.
And these 5 different women, number one is my favorite, by the way. Are these people that you actually met throughout the course of your research? How did you just go about naming them and their backstory, if you will?
Yeah, these are people that I met actually through research specifically for the book, because part of social anthropology, the thing that's very central to it is speaking to real people,
Sure.
uncovering the stories of real people. And so these are people that I met because I put out a call on social media. They
Right.
responded favorably, which I'm grateful for, and we were able to get together and talk. Nomonde, as you mentioned, she's an advertising executive. Camilla's a junior publicist. Lihle and Bongi are entrepreneurs, and we have Jolie, who's an actuary. So these are like driven, ambitious, career-driven women.
Right. And this premise of transactional relationships, Lebo, from your research and the women that you've encountered, I imagine there are countless others that are not in the book, right? But you've got some understanding of why it is a thing, if I can use that word, this whole idea of transactional relationship.
Interestingly, I don't call them transactional relationships, and I
Okay.
actually try to get us a little bit away from that language, because I think that language has been used to denigrate and shame women who
Sure.
are doing what a lot of other women are doing, which is having a focus on the finances of life, the materiality of life. Any human being who is an adult has to think about finances, and
Right.
I think that sometimes some women, depending on their ethnicity and race, are shamed a little bit more than others. There's a
Yeah.
little bit more of a negative lens on when they do it. And so for me, it's just about showing, I guess, South Africa and readers that this kind of concern over finances, it's one that we all share as South Africans, particularly in our economy at the moment.
So there's a lot more to soft life than what is being currently depicted on the social, across the socials, what we perceive it to be to what you've actually documented.
Yeah, there is a bit of a difference. I think what's at the crux of it is that the soft life is what you make of it, It
Okay.
depends on you what that kind of living is for you.
Sure.
But what seems to bind us all together in our desire for comfort is having to constantly navigate the challenges of our country.
Right.
Things around crime and access to health, things around load shedding, questions of safety, questions of employability as
Right.
well, especially where the youth is concerned with our unemployment issue in the country. These are things that, how do you get to a soft life when these are all the obstacles you have to encounter first? And that's really what I'm trying to ask of the women in the book. And that's why, even though they are career-driven women in their own right, it is important for them to want partners who are either equal in that kind of ambition or
Okay.
who succeeded them and done a little bit more in the world.
I like that. So what's the reaction of women, firstly, that have read the book? I imagine there are others who can relate to Nomonde's story, to the other 4 women as well who are featured in the Soft Life.
Yeah, it's been a really positive outpouring of affirmation and love where the book is concerned, which I really appreciate, because, you know, I had one friend who told me that I hope and I think that this book is going to encourage women to be less afraid of their aspirations and less afraid to create and be unapologetic about the lives that they want.
Sure.
And I'm hoping that that is what it will do as well, because it's just so easy to constantly speak negatively about women who are thinking quite seriously about intimacy and the economy and how that intersects. It's
Right.
easy to shame Black women specifically, and I'm hoping that we can just start to have conversations that are a little bit more progressive
Right.
and that are a little bit more serious when it comes to this issue.
Why do you think that is, Lebo? I mean, I imagine the Soft Life just scratches the surface, as it were. Is it like a cultural thing that we need to now redress, as it were? Things like patriarchy, I imagine, has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
What do we need to be doing as society to, firstly, imagine that women can be empowered and they don't need permission to feel that way?
So I think it does have a lot to do with patriarchy, and it has to do with the way we are just accustomed to speaking, especially in the media, about Black women, about people who are gender non-conforming in other ways. You know, there's certain people who have to bear the brunt of society's negative perception. So I think I just want us to get to a point where we can have more progressive conversations, and even in the media, when people are about to write another story about a slave queen or another story about a Blessy, I'm hoping that they can just think a little bit differently about the implications of that on the collective, and whether it is fair to put that on women when actually perhaps we should think about our government and the ways they've made it so difficult to navigate life in South Africa that people have to start thinking about their intimate lives as a way to get around these difficulties.
I imagine traditionally and culturally speaking as well.
Tradition and culture are such complex parts of who we are, and so that's something that might take a little bit longer to change and transform.
Sure.
But I think the easiest place right now is the people who create and dictate the conversation.
I like that. Let's talk about the Soft Life. I imagine you'd like this to be, like we've seen with other books, a series of some sort that gets featured on streaming platforms or on TV, on mass media. Are there any plans in the works of that nature? Are you hoping for anything like that? With this book?
That would be lovely. I'm always open to the possibilities, but you know, my main thing, I love to write, so I'd love to write more books, because this is an area that we hardly look at it from a socially scientific lens, especially in terms of it being publicly accessible. You know, I don't want to write work that only remains in the university. I want to write work that people can access, that can challenge people, that people can disagree with as well. So my thing is to continue writing in this same vein and to just sit with some of the very difficult questions that we have as human beings.
So there's a sequel on the way. Are you already writing it? How far are you?
I'm thinking deeply about it, and I wanted to focus on men. I think that would be fun.
Listen, I'm available for your research if you're writing about men.
Yes.
You can start the chapter with William, last name Lehong. Ask me anything, I will gladly share.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I really mean it.
I've got you down. Thank you.
Listen, where can people get the book?
The book can be gotten here at Book Circle Capital, which is one of the best places to get books, and of course at all the other bookstores that they have available near them.
Awesome stuff. Lebohang Masango here on the morning show TMS Book Club at the Book Circle Capital.